Hi, and welcome to the next in our You Do You zipper pouch design series. Today I'm going to show you how to do a dual tone pouch and also how to make it a square bottom pouch. Now today I'm using the number 5 zipper and I'm also doing some black work which has turned out beautifully. So there's a lot that we're doing today, all with that basic pouch that you can just turn into anything you want. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is prep all of our fabrics. I like to get everything together before I get started so that then I can just stitch. The easiest thing to prep is our lining fabrics, and I'm making the 8 by 12 inch pouch, 12 by 8 inch pouch, and so I've cut fabric about an inch larger, and then I've come through and on one piece here I've folded and pressed that under, ready to become our lining. Now I'm doing something a little bit different today, and I want to make this pouch dual tone. So to create that, all I've done is stitched a piece of cork onto the fabric that I've chosen. And then I've done exactly the same thing with my back piece so that I can then match them up. And what you're looking for, as I said, I'm doing the 8 inch, which is 20 centimeters, so you need approximately 4 or 5 inches of, if you want to go halfway, of this fabric versus your cork. And again, I've cut that a little bit larger. On the front piece, I've added in my embroiderer's felt and the folded under edge, and on the back piece I've just placed the embroiderer's felt there. The other thing that we need is our zipper, and I'm using the chunky number 5 zipper, and I've put a silver sewing machine tag on that. Okay, so now we are ready to stitch. Let's come over to the machine, onto our machine. Now, I've got thread on the machine that is going to match our fabric so that that stitching line is as pretty as possible. And then I can come through and I'm going to stitch out the first colorway, which is going to show us where to place our fabrics and our zipper. So we come around, and then it's going to stitch out to show the zipper placement area. Now today I'm using the number 5 zipper, which is our chunkier style of zipper, and just decide before you get started which size you are going to use. If you're going to use a number 3, just make sure you choose a number 3 pouch. And here we have our zipper. And the next thing that we're going to do, now you need to make sure that this zipper tab is out of the stitching area at this stage. And all I want to do is just place the zipper equally between those two areas, and then stitch the next colorway to secure that. Then we're going to work, and colorway 3 is going to stitch down the back side here, or the front of the pouch, to secure that. Then I can come through and take my fabric, lay it over that area, and stitch the next colorway, which is colorway 4. To secure that. Now, just for something a little bit different, I'm also going to add in some extra decoration. And I've really been enjoying playing with black work lately. So what I want to do is come through and measure. And you can see there, we've got about 9.5 centimetres. 95 millimeters to play with. So let's come and see exactly what we could do with that with our software. So for instance, I've been playing with some black work designs, which I'm loving the look of. But at the moment, they are taking just a little bit too much space. And the joy of these black work designs is that you can come through and resize them and change their height, their spacing, and their width. So for instance, if I came through here and made this one 25 millimeters and then moved it down, it is easily going to be within that 9.5 centimeters area that we are looking for. So what I'm going to do is now come through on my machine, and I can see here that I'm up to colorway 5. I'm going to get rid of that design and instead load up the black work. So we send that digitally to the machine, and then what I want to do is just come up and look at where that's going to sit. Okay, and then to keep on with the theme, I'm going to change over for this to black thread, and then I'm going to stitch out this beautiful black work design. Okay, so that's our decorative stitching done, and I'm really happy with how that looks. So now what I'm gonna do is come back and put on just a Gutermann construction thread, and we are going to put the last couple of sections of our bag together. Now, remember that we actually wiped over and deleted the bag design, so I'm going to need to go back in and bring that back up. I'm a terror of a time here today. It's just the colours have blended a little bit too well. It's a sad day when I'm saying that one. Okay, so come back. I'm going to delete that design, and I'm going to come through on my digitizer and reload and if you remember, we were up to colorway 5. I do like to come in and just show what I'm up to stitching. So, colorway 5 is showing us that we are now going to put our first piece of lining on. So, come through, and I'm going to take my lining fabric, and what I want to do here is lay it over that stitching line and then secure it. Now, I could come through and secure it with tape, but whenever I use tape, like painter's tape, all that seems to happen is that the tape ends up attached to the board. So instead, I'm using my magnets. I'm keeping them out of the stitching area. And just to make sure, and make sure that tag there is all good. And then we're going to stitch colorway 5, securing that back lining. And can you believe we've only got 2 more colourways to finish off the entire project. So what I like to do now is just come through and make sure that all of that is secured, because this is the time that you can fix it if it's not. And the next thing that we're going to do is put the back of the bag on. Now, that becomes important to us how we do it because of our colour, our dual tone of our bag. So what we want to do is come through and make sure that we are matching up where those lines are. And the more effort you put into the little bits here, the better it's going to be. Now, the one thing I haven't done is pulled that zipper pull into the middle of the project. That is incredibly important, otherwise it will stuff up everything. And once I'm happy with that, I can turn that around. Realise that I've unthreaded myself here somewhere. And then we are going to come through and stitch. Now, I can feel the fabric moving a little as I'm doing this, so all I'm going to do is just make sure that my settings are still firmly in place. I do wonder whether I've come a little bit close on this one. But no, just making sure my magnet is fully out of that area. And then when you come back over here, I just want to make sure that that zipper pull is still not going to be in the stitching area as well. And then you're all good. See, these are the things that I worry about in life. Now, so as I said, this is a slightly larger zipper pull. And then the last colourway is going to be to place our lining. So again, I'm going to remove that hoop and our magnets. Turn it over, make sure everything's looking fine. And then we are going to take our last piece of fabric and lay it over the entire stitching area. And I'm going to use one magnet up here and another down here. The rest of it I can make sure I'm happy with, and we return the hoop and stitch that last colourway, which is going to go 3/4 of the way around. So it's going to come all the way around and then stop here, leaving us an opening that we can then turn through. Again, just be ready to baby it over this section if it's required. And the reason I do a stop and restart is because my presser foot has the ability to adjust height. So I just want to give it that chance to actually do that. Okay, so that's all of our stitching finished. Let's come and look at what we've got. Okay, now first thing I'm going to do is remove those magnets and pop them aside. And I'm going to take my hoop off. And then I'm going to come through and remove the excess stabilizer. Now what you will generally find as you're removing that excess, particularly in the zipper area, what you will end up with is a whole lot of extra stitches. And that's just from where we did all those initial lines. Okay, so now what we want to do is trim, and I want to trim about 1/4 of an inch all the way around, a little more, a little less, all fine, except for when we get to that opening at the back, at the bottom, sorry. And so that is all just excess that we can throw away. And what we've got here is our opening. What I can now do is get rid of all the fabric that's not the lining fabric. So all we've got is that lining fabric that's a little bit larger. Now, we are going to come through and turn the pouch, and I'm just going to lift that up a little bit. inside out. And come through and square off your corners. Just generally you can do that with your fingers. Okay. And you can see here we've now got a pouch, just that it's inside out. Now I'm going to press with my fingers my fabric along here, and then I'm going to come, and if you're a hand stitcher you can come and hand stitch this. I am not, nor will ever be, the world's best hand stitcher, so I am going to use my double-sided no heat basting tape to close this opening. And I can now come in, and what I want to do is just turn that in, and those folds have made it nice and easy. We just need to get a start. There we go. On that, and then it is as easy as pulling away and letting the fabrics join together. So that is my bag with the closure done. I can now come through and just take that extra bit of stabilizer out of the zipper area. And then I'm just going to open up my zipper fully, because now we're going to create the flat bottom. And the flat bottom is created very, very simply by pulling these two corners at the bottom together and stitching across. Now what I'm going to do is just throw that away. Now, if you don't want a flat bottom bag, that is absolutely fine. You don't have to have one. And I'm going to mark up on this as soon as I find where I've put my marker. One inch. So 1 inch up, and that is what we are going to stitch. And we'll come over to the sewing machine now. And I'm just going to change over to regular sewing. And then now when you're doing something like this, you really do want to get into those very edges of the stitching. So sort of stitch off the page, if you will. Okay, and then next, okay, and let's come and see what we have. So we're now ready to turn this right way out, and loving that seam matching. Oh, don't you love it when a plan comes together? And what we have here is a flat bottomed bag. We have seams that match on this side and on that side, and we've got a great little closure on that. Now, I think for a basic pouch, we have just turned this into something that is amazing. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I know that this pouch is going to be a favourite of mine for yonks to come. And I'm thinking this might even have to be the new makeup bag. It's just got some elegance to it. Loving it. So, until next time, have a stitching day, guys. Bye.